Have you ever been disrespected by someone you trusted? Maybe it was a co-worker who spoke to you as if your opinion didn't matter, a friend who mocked you in front of others, a stranger who treated you with contempt, or perhaps someone you loved dismissed your feelings as if they meant nothing. In moments like these, something powerful happens inside us. Our heart begins to race. Our jaw tightens. Our thoughts become louder. A voice in our mind whispers, "Don't let them get away with this." Say something. Prove them wrong. Make them regret it. And so, most people do exactly that. They argue. They yell. They insult. They seek revenge. They spend days replaying the moment over and over, imagining all the things they should have said. But here's the question very few people ever ask. Who really won? Was it the person who insulted you? Or was it the person who allowed that insult to steal their peace? The Stoics had a startling answer. They believe that the greatest victory over disrespect is not revenge. It is self-mastery. Because the moment someone can control your emotions, they've already gained power over you. Think about that. Someone says a few careless words, and suddenly your entire day is ruined. You can't focus at work. You lose sleep. You replay the conversation 100 times. Days later, they're living their life while you're still carrying the weight of their words. Who is suffering? Not them. You are. And that is exactly why the Stoics refuse to hand over the keys to their inner world. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, ruled an empire filled with critics, traitors, and people who questioned every decision he made. He could have silenced them with force. He had armies. He had authority. He had unlimited power compared to the average citizen. Yet he chose something far more difficult. He chose discipline. Instead of asking, "How do I make them pay?" he asked, "How do I make sure they don't change who I am?" That single shift in thinking changed everything. Because when someone disrespects you, there are actually two battles taking place. The first battle happens outside of you. Someone speaks rudely. Someone lies. Someone humiliates you. Someone underestimates you. You often have little control over that. But the second battle happens inside. Will you become bitter? Will you lose your composure? Will you abandon your values? Or will you remain the kind of person you decided to be before this moment ever happened? That is the battle that truly matters. Imagine a king sitting on his throne. A child throws a pebble at the palace wall. Does the king abandon his throne to chase the child through the streets? Of course not. Why? Because true authority doesn't need to prove itself. Now imagine the opposite. Someone with no confidence at all. Every insult becomes a challenge. Every criticism becomes a war. Every disagreement feels like an attack on their identity. They spend their entire lives fighting battles that never needed to exist. One person protects their peace. The other protects their ego. Only one of them sleeps well at night. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings about strength. The world often teaches us that strength means having the perfect comeback, the loudest voice, the sharpest insult, the last word. Stoicism teaches something entirely different. The strongest person is often the one who doesn't feel compelled to react at all, not because they're afraid, but because they understand something most people never learn. Not every insult deserves your attention. Think about fire. What happens when you keep feeding it wood? It grows. What happens when you stop feeding it? Eventually, it dies on its own. Disrespect works the same way. Many people provoke others because they're searching for a reaction. They want to see your anger. They won't watch you lose control. They want proof that they can affect your emotions. The moment you explode, you've given them exactly what they wanted. But when you remain calm, something unexpected happens. The game changes. Suddenly, they no longer know how to control the situation. Silence becomes unsettling. Composure becomes intimidating. Your calmness quietly exposes their lack of it. This doesn't mean you should accept abuse. Stoicism has never taught people to become doormats. There's a profound difference between remaining calm and allowing others to walk over you. A Stoic protects their dignity, but they do it with wisdom instead of rage. They speak when necessary. They leave when necessary. They establish boundaries when necessary, but they never surrender their self-control in the process. Because once anger takes over, Your judgment becomes cloudy. How many people have destroyed relationships because they couldn't pause for 10 seconds? How many careers have ended because of one emotional outburst? How many lives have been changed forever by words spoken in anger? The Stoics understood that anger feels powerful, but it often leaves us powerless. Seneca described anger as a temporary madness. Think about that phrase. Temporary madness. When you're angry, you say things you don't mean. You make decisions you later regret. You mistake impulse for courage. But real courage is different. Real courage is staying in command of yourself when every emotion is demanding that you lose control. Here's something fascinating. Have you ever noticed that the people who are easiest to provoke are often the easiest to manipulate? If someone knows exactly what to say to make you angry, they hold the strings. You're no longer acting freely. You're reacting exactly as they predicted. Imagine being a puppet. Every insult pulls a string. Every criticism jerks your emotions. Every rude comment determines your mood. Would you call that freedom? Of course not. Yet millions of people live this way every single day. The Stoics refuse to become emotional puppets. They believe that your peace is one of the most valuable things you possess. Why hand it over to someone who hasn't earned it? Imagine carrying a priceless diamond in your pocket. Would you give it to the first stranger who insulted you? No. Then why give them something even more valuable? Your inner peace? This brings us to an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes, the person disrespecting you isn't actually trying to hurt you. They're revealing themselves. An impatient person reveals impatience. An arrogant person reveals arrogance. An insecure person often reveals insecurity by trying to make others feel small. As the old saying goes, people often speak from the condition of their own mind. The Stoics understood this deeply. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" they often asked, "What pain or weakness is this person's behavior revealing?" That question doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it changes your perspective. You stop taking everything personally. And once you stop taking everything personally, people lose one of their greatest weapons against you. Because here's the truth. Not every opinion deserves a place in your mind. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Not every disrespect deserves your emotional energy. Some words should simply pass by like wind. Others deserve a thoughtful response. Learning the difference is wisdom. But how do you actually know when to remain silent, when to speak, and when to walk away? How do you protect your dignity without becoming consumed by anger? The ancient Stoics developed principles for exactly these moments. Principles so powerful that they can completely change the way people treat you. Not because you intimidate them, but because they realize they can no longer control you. And once people realize they cannot control your emotions, many of them begin to regret ever underestimating you in the first place. That is where true strength begins. So, what should you actually do when someone disrespects you? Not in theory, not in a philosophy book, but in the real world, where emotions are raw and the sting of disrespect feels personal. The Stoics offered an answer that most people find difficult to accept. Your first responsibility is not to defeat the other person. It is to defeat the impulse within yourself. That may sound disappointing if you're looking for the perfect comeback, but think about it. How many arguments have you won only to lose your peace? How many times have you proven someone wrong, yet spent the rest of the day emotionally exhausted? The Stoics understood something most people never realize. The greatest consequence you can give someone who disrespects you is showing them that they fail to disturb your character. Because insults have no power on their own. They borrow their power from your reaction. Imagine two people standing in the rain. One carries an umbrella. The other doesn't. The rain is the same. The experience is completely different. Disrespect is like that rain. You cannot stop every insult from falling, but you can decide whether it soaks into your mind. That umbrella is your self-control. Epictetus once challenged his students with a powerful idea. If someone insults you, ask yourself, is what they said true? If the answer is yes, then you have discovered something you can improve. Why become angry at someone who accidentally revealed a weakness you needed to work on? Instead of defending your ego, improve your character. Now suppose the answer is no. then why be upset by something that isn't true? If someone calls the sky green, you don't become offended. You simply recognize that they are mistaken. So why should false insults have the power to destroy your peace? This way of thinking is incredibly freeing. It shifts your focus away from defending your image and towards strengthening your reality. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people spend more time protecting their reputation than building their character. The Stoics reverse that. They believe that if your character is strong, your reputation becomes less important. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that other people's opinions belong to them, not to you. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase through an airport. Someone you've never met walks over and offers you another suitcase. Do you have to take it? Of course not. Then why accept every insult that someone tries to hand you? Just because words are offered doesn't mean they must be received. This is one of the most liberating lessons in Stoicism. You always have a choice, not over what others say, but over whether you carry it. Now let's talk about silence. Many people misunderstand silence. They think remaining silent means losing, that if they don't respond immediately, others will see them as weak. But consider this. Have you ever noticed that the most confident people rarely rush to defend themselves? They don't panic when criticized. They don't argue over every accusation. They don't feel compelled to explain every decision. Why? Because confidence doesn't need constant validation. Insecurity does. Silence is powerful when it comes from confidence. It's dangerous when it comes from fear. The Stoics were not silent because they lacked courage. They were silent because they understood timing. A wise person knows that not every battle deserves a soldier. Imagine a lion. When a small dog barks at it, the lion doesn't stop to bark back. Not because it can't, because it doesn't need to. Its strength is already evident. Likewise, your dignity becomes visible when you stop chasing every argument. This doesn't mean remaining silent forever. There are moments when speaking is necessary, when injustice must be confronted, when boundaries must be established, when truth must be defended. But even then, the Stoics insisted on speaking from reason, never from rage. Think about water. Water can carve through solid rock, not because it is violent, because it is steady. Your words should be like that. Firm, clear, purposeful, never reckless. One calm sentence often carries more weight than 100 angry ones. Here's another Stoic practice that few people talk about. Separate the action from the person. Suppose someone insults you. Instead of immediately labeling them as a terrible person, examine the action itself. Perhaps they acted out of insecurity. Perhaps they were frustrated. Perhaps they were having the worst day of their life. Again, this doesn't excuse disrespect, but it prevents hatred from taking root inside you. Hatred hurts the person carrying it more than the person receiving it. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. The Stoics refuse to let another person's poor behavior become the reason for their own. Now ask yourself this question. Who do you become after being disrespected? Do you become more patient or more bitter? Do you become wiser or more reactive? Because every difficult interaction leaves something behind. It either strengthens your character or weakens it. The choice belongs to you. Seneca once observed that we often suffer more in imagination than in reality. This is especially true after disrespect. The event lasts a few moments, but then the mind begins replaying it. Again and again, you imagine different responses. You rehearse arguments that will never happen. You relive the emotion dozens of times. In reality, the other person may have already forgotten the encounter, yet you're still carrying it. Why give someone free rent inside your mind? Your attention is valuable. Your peace is valuable. Don't spend either on people who haven't earned them. Here's a simple exercise. The next time someone disrespects you, don't ask, "How do I make them regret this?" Instead ask, "How can I leave this situation without regretting my own behavior?" That question changes everything. Suddenly, your goal isn't revenge. It's integrity. You stop trying to win the argument. You start trying to win against your own impulses. And that is a battle worth fighting. Over time, people begin noticing something unusual about you. You don't react like everyone else. You don't gossip. You don't explode. You don't seek revenge. You don't desperately try to prove your worth. You simply remain grounded. Ironically, this often earns more respect than any clever comeback ever could, because people eventually realize something. They cannot manipulate someone who refuses to surrender their emotions. They cannot intimidate someone who knows their own value. They cannot provoke someone who has mastered themselves. And that realization often leaves a far greater impression than anger ever could. Sometimes, the greatest form of regret another person experiences is recognizing they misjudged you completely. They expected chaos. You gave them composure. They expected weakness. You demonstrated quiet strength. They expected an emotional reaction. You responded with wisdom. That is unforgettable. But knowing these principles isn't enough. When emotions are running high, philosophy can disappear in an instant. So, how do you train yourself to remain calm in the heat of the moment? How do you develop the kind of presence that protects your dignity without sacrificing your peace? The Stoics had practical daily exercises for exactly this purpose. Knowing what the Stoics taught is one thing. Living it when someone is standing right in front of you, challenging your patience, is something else entirely, because in that moment, your emotions don't ask for permission. They arrive without warning. Anger, embarrassment, frustration, the desire to defend yourself, the urge to say something that will hurt them just as much as they hurt you. This is where most people lose the battle, not because they are weak, but because they have never trained their minds. The Stoics believe that self-control is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. The less you use it, the weaker it gets. That's why they practiced long before life tested them. They knew that when pressure comes, you don't suddenly become wise. You become who you've been practicing to be. So let's look at the practical Stoic habits that will help you respond to disrespect with quiet strength instead of emotional impulse. Habit 1. Pause before you respond. This is the foundation of everything. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct will almost always be emotional. Your mind wants to react immediately. But remember this, the first emotion is automatic. The second response is your choice. Before saying a single word, pause. Take one slow breath. Not because breathing magically solved the problem, but because it interrupts the emotional chain reaction. Think of it as pressing the pause button before a movie continues. In that brief moment, ask yourself, what response will I be proud of tomorrow? Not 10 minutes from now. Tomorrow, next week, next year, because many people win the moment and lose the future. One angry sentence can destroy years of trust. One emotional decision can create lifelong regret. The Stoic always thinks beyond the moment. Habit 2. Don't explain yourself to everyone. One of the biggest mistakes people make after being disrespected is trying desperately to prove themselves. They explain, defend, justify, argue, repeat themselves. They hope that if they say enough, the other person will finally understand. But here's the reality. Not everyone wants to understand you. Some people simply want a reaction. Imagine trying to convince someone who has already decided not to listen. It's like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He didn't waste his energy trying to win every opinion. Instead, he focused on living in a way that made unnecessary arguments irrelevant. Your life is your strongest explanation. Your actions are louder than your defenses. Let your consistency speak where your words cannot. Habit 3. Protect your energy. Every interaction costs something. Time, attention, emotion. The question is this person worth the price? Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some people thrive on conflict. Some enjoy creating drama. Some feel powerful only when they make others feel small. The Stoics recognize that you cannot stop people from behaving badly, but you can stop giving them unlimited access to your peace. Imagine your attention as a bank account. Every unnecessary argument is a withdrawal. Every moment spent replaying an insult is another withdrawal. Eventually, you're emotionally exhausted. Now imagine investing that same energy into your goals, your family, your health, your character. Which investment produces a better return? The answer is obvious. Guard your attention carefully, because where your attention goes, your life follows. Habit 4. Master your facial expressions. This may seem like a small detail, but the Stoics understood that composure is communicated long before you speak. When someone disrespects you, they often look for signs that they've affected you. Raised voices, angry expressions, restless movements. These reactions tell them they've succeeded. Instead, remain composed. Stand tall. Maintain steady eye contact. Speak slowly. Never rush. Your calm presence sends a message without saying a word. You cannot control me. There is something deeply unsettling about someone who refuses to panic. People expect chaos. When they meet calmness instead, they begin questioning themselves. Habit 5. Set boundaries without anger. Many people confuse Stoicism with passive acceptance. That couldn't be further from the truth. Stoicism never asks you to tolerate repeated disrespect. It asks you to respond wisely. Sometimes wisdom means leaving. Sometimes it means saying, I'm not willing to continue this conversation if we're speaking to each other this way. Notice the difference. No shouting, no insults, no revenge, just clarity. Strong boundaries don't require loud voices. They require quiet confidence. The strongest people rarely threaten. They simply act. If someone repeatedly refuses to respect you, distance yourself. Not to punish them, to protect yourself. Because peace is easier preserved than it is to rebuild. Habit 6. Let time reveal the truth. One of the hardest lessons in life is accepting that you don't have to correct every misunderstanding immediately. People may underestimate you, judge you unfairly, spread false assumptions. Your instinct will be to chase them down and prove them wrong. The Stoics advise something different. Live well. Character has a way of revealing itself over time. Eventually, truth becomes difficult to hide. Imagine two trees. One grows quickly but has shallow roots. The other grows slowly with roots that run deep. When the storm arrives, which one survives? Your reputation built through consistency will always outlast someone else's temporary opinion. Habit 7. Turn every insult into training. This may be the most powerful habit of all. Every time someone disrespects you, see it as practice, not punishment. Ask yourself, what virtue is the situation asking me to strengthen? Patience? Courage? Self-control? Humility? Wisdom? Suddenly, the person who intended to weaken you becomes an unexpected teacher. Without realizing it, they've given you an opportunity to become stronger. This is exactly how the Stoics viewed adversity, not as an obstacle, but as a training ground. The gym doesn't make you weaker because it resists you. It makes you stronger. Likewise, difficult people reveal how much self-mastery you've developed. Without challenges, you never truly know your strength. The respect you never have to demand. Here's something fascinating. The people who command the most respect are rarely the ones demanding it. They don't constantly remind others of their value. They don't seek validation. They don't chase approval. They simply carry themselves with dignity. Think about the people you've admired most in life. Was it because they were loud, or because they remained steady when everyone else lost control? True respect is earned through consistency, not intimidation, not fear, not emotional outbursts. People trust those who remain composed under pressure. They admire those who stay true to their principles, even when it's difficult. And that's exactly what the Stoic habit creates. Over time, something remarkable happens. The insults that once ruined your day barely disturb your peace. The criticism that once consumed your thoughts becomes background noise. The disrespect that once felt unbearable becomes another opportunity to practice self-mastery. Not because people stopped being rude, because you stopped allowing their behavior to define your emotional state. And when that happens, you've already won. But there's one final lesson that separates ordinary self-control from extraordinary inner strength. It's the lesson that transforms disrespect into one of the greatest opportunities for personal growth. And once you understand it, you'll realize that the people who try to diminish you may have unknowingly helped build the strongest version of yourself. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something that changes everything. You cannot control how people see you. You cannot force respect. You cannot stop people from judging you, and you certainly cannot prevent every act of disrespect. For some people, that realization feels discouraging. For a Stoic, it feels liberating, because the moment you stop trying to control what belongs to others, you finally begin mastering what belongs to you, your character, your choices, your peace. And that is where true power begins. Most people spend their lives trying to win battles against other people. The Stoic spends life winning the battle within. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. Were they the ones who argued over every insult? Were they the ones constantly trying to prove everyone wrong? Or were they the ones who remained calm while everyone else lost control? History remembers people who mastered themselves far more than people who mastered arguments. Marcus Aurelius wasn't remembered because he had the sharpest insults. He is remembered because he ruled one of the greatest empires in history without allowing bitterness to consume his character. Epictetus wasn't respected because he sought revenge against those who mistreated him. He became one of history's greatest philosophers because he refused to let suffering define him. Seneca lived through betrayal, political corruption, and eventually a death sentence. Yet his writings continue to inspire millions because he understood something timeless. Your greatest victory is becoming the kind of person that circumstances cannot easily shake. Now imagine two people who experience the exact same insult. The first spends weeks thinking about it. They replay the conversation in their mind. They imagine clever responses they wish they had said. They talk about it with friends. They allow one moment to poison many days. The second person pauses, reflects, learns, moves forward. 1 year later, who has grown? Who has become stronger? Who has truly won? The answer is obvious. The insult lasted only a few seconds, but one person extended it into months of suffering. The other refused to carry it beyond the moment. That is the difference between reacting and responding. Here's one of the greatest secrets of Stoicism. People can only truly disrespect you if they make you abandon your own values. Think about that. Someone lies to you. Will you become dishonest because of it? Someone is rude. Will you become rude in return? Someone acts without integrity. Will you sacrifice yours? If the answer is yes, then they've taken something much more valuable than your attention. They've influenced your character. The Stoics refused to give anyone that kind of power. Instead, they believed every difficult person was a test. Not a test of your intelligence, not a test of your status, a test of your principles. Anyone can remain kind when everyone is kind to them. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy. But can you remain composed when you're misunderstood? Can you stay respectful when someone is disrespectful? Can you keep your integrity when someone else abandons theirs? That is where character is revealed. Imagine a mirror. A mirror reflects whatever stands in front of it. Most people become mirrors. Someone is angry, they become angry. Someone is negative, they become negative. Someone is disrespectful, they become disrespectful. The Stoic chooses not to be a mirror. Instead, they become a window. They allow negativity to pass through without allowing it to settle inside. What a remarkable way to live. Imagine waking up every day knowing that no stranger has the authority to ruin your mood. No insult has permission to define your worth. No criticism has the power to determine your value, because your value no longer comes from other people's opinions. It comes from your own character. This is why the title of this video says, when someone disrespects you, do this and they will regret it forever, but perhaps not in the way most people expect. Their regret isn't guaranteed because you punished them, or humiliated them, or found the perfect comeback. Their regret often comes much later, when they realize they underestimated someone who possessed quiet strength, when they see you continuing to grow while they remain trapped in the same patterns, when they recognize that their attempt to provoke you failed completely, when they discover that your silence wasn't weakness, it was discipline. Sometimes people don't regret what they said immediately. Sometimes they regret losing access to someone who carried themselves with dignity. Sometimes they regret realizing that they misjudged your character. And sometimes they never regret it at all. That is another lesson the Stoics will remind us to accept. Your peace cannot depend on whether another person feels remorse, because that too is outside your control. If you need someone else's regret in order to move on, you're still allowing them to control your happiness. Real freedom begins the moment you no longer need an apology to find peace. The moment you stop waiting for someone to admit they were wrong, you reclaim your life. Think about how many people spend years waiting for closure, waiting for an apology, waiting for recognition, waiting for justice. Meanwhile, life continues moving. The Stoic asks a different question. Why should my future wait for someone else's decision? That question changes everything, because it reminds you that your happiness is your responsibility, not theirs. Every sunrise gives you another opportunity to choose who you will become. You can become someone who carries every insult like a burden, or someone who carries wisdom instead. You can become someone who seeks revenge, or someone who seeks growth. You can become someone controlled by the behavior of others, or someone guided by their own principles. The choice belongs to you every single day. So, the next time someone disrespects you, remember this. You do not have to prove your worth. You do not have to win every argument. You do not have to answer every insult. You do not have to carry every opinion. Instead, pause, breathe, observe, respond with wisdom, and then continue building a life so meaningful that the opinions of those who try to diminish you become nothing more than distant echoes. Because the greatest response to disrespect is not revenge. It is becoming someone that disrespect can no longer disturb. That is the kind of strength no one can take from you. That is the kind of confidence no criticism can destroy. And that is the kind of life the Stoics devoted themselves to creating. If this lesson spoke to you, don't let it remain just another video you watched. Put it into practice. The next time someone speaks to you with disrespect, resist the urge to react immediately. Give yourself one deep breath, one moment of reflection, one wise response. You may be surprised how much power exists in that single pause. If you found value in this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more timeless lessons on Stoicism, self-mastery, emotional resilience, and inner peace. And before you leave, share your thoughts in the comments. What is the best way to respond to disrespect without losing your peace? Your experience may encourage someone else who is struggling today. Until next time, remember the words every Stoic strives to live by. The world may test your patience, but it can never take your character unless you choose to surrender it. Choose wisdom. Choose dignity. Choose mastery over your own mind. Because the strongest revenge is not making someone suffer. It is becoming someone they can never shake.